So welcome back to Decoy Noise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist in Would I Be the Antagonist for Calling Off the Wedding? So in another episode of Furlough Decoy Noise, where I give myself a new tattoo every day. I think you guys told me to get one on the neck and also on the palm, but I just got one over here. We're doing episodes every 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing down below, but also letting me know what subscriber number you are, because not only does it help me track my growth, over at decoynoise.com, I'm going to start giving kind of polls and everything. But if you tell me which subscriber number you are, I'm going to start to try to recognize you guys and maybe kind of keep a score, or I don't know exactly how the website's gonna go, but go over there, check it out if you want to, and also make sure you let me know what subscriber number you are. But let's just get back to the actual post at hand. So would I be the antagonist for calling off a wedding? So OP says, alright, so I'm pretty torn here. I've been dating a girl for a long time and it's been mostly great. I proposed a few months ago and we've been planning some wedding stuff recently. Well, she also recently dropped it on me that it's family tradition to put a ball and chain on the groom at the reception as a joke, and they won't take it off until whenever the F they decide to. I'm certainly not doing that, but she seems pretty firm on it. I feel like if you want to embarrass me like that, you can host your own reception without my family and friends there, and embarrass me all you want in front of your family and friends. Okay. Really might call it off at this point, but they're expecting me to go ball and chain, and I don't feel like I'm being unreasonable, but she's pretty effing mad right now for the refusal. So, and the edit is, super overwhelmed with the responses. I didn't expect this many people to show up and agree with me. I really appreciate everyone's thoughts and advice, but there's no way I'll be able to reply to everyone, so here's some more info based on what I've read, most of the comments thus far. 1. No, I'm not looking for a reason to call off the wedding. 2. Yes, you guys bring up good points that if something like this would cause me to throw it all away, then there must be some form of writing on the walls. Just to confirm, I didn't want to throw it away. 3. I will not be caving into this in any shape or form as I mentioned earlier. She wants to finance her own private reception where her family and friends can embarrass me all they want while mine aren't present. Okay. 4. The point above, in my opinion, doesn't mean the wedding can be called off. It's up to how firm she is on the joke and if they'll just let it go. So in every episode, I do a bit of decoy court where I'm going to pass my own judgment and there's just knee-jerk reactions or whatever. But honestly, this kind of reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where I think that it's like the future Lisa wants to marry, I think it's like a guy from England or whatnot. And the Homer really wants the guy to wear some, they call it pig cufflinks, and he just doesn't want to do it, and it's a deal breaker. And then Lisa kind of understood that, hey, if he thinks that wearing pink cufflinks is too silly for me, then that's a lets me know in the future like what, like, you know, how we don't match up with like our values or whatever. So she called it off, even though it's not exactly lined up with this right here. It does have a bit of overlap in the sense that they have very different values. Like it's very important for her to be able to, I don't want to say emasculate, but embarrass the husband before the wedding starts. Like that sets the tone for their whole entire marriage. Like, hey, look, I know you have standards and I know there's certain things that, like, you know, a certain way you want to look in front of your friends and family. Well, we're going to make a fool out of you. We're going to put an actual physical ball and chain on you. Everybody's going to point and laugh. And then whenever the bride's family feels like it's okay to take it off, we'll do it. So we call the shots. We're going to shame you and you just have to sit there and take it. So even though it's just tradition, and I understand tradition is important to some people, it's the wrong foot to start the relationship off of, not the relationship, the marriage off on or whatever. So in my opinion, in decoy court fashion, I'm saying he's not the antagonist, the wife or the fiance and her family is, because they're expecting him to do something he's not comfortable with, and they're willing to throw the entire marriage out the window because they have this, what I think is ridiculous thing. And the thing is, though, is I don't think that OP is in the wrong for saying, hey, look, okay, if you guys really want to do this, I'm down for it. Just finance your own side of the wedding and let's go do it in front of your families. If you want me to do the song and dance, I'll do the song and dance, but I refuse to be embarrassed in front of my own friends and family. Like for your wedding, everybody, like, since you're a baby, was waiting for this this day for you, and you're gonna ruin it by making me look like an idiot in front of everybody. No, I'll pass. If you want me to do it, I'm willing to do it on behalf of your family, but not in front of my own family. So I'm saying he's not the antagonist, but also, like I said, make sure you stop the video right now, and I want to see the replies that the decoy koi voice are doing. Drop your comments down below, and also, like I said, over at thedecoynoise.com/koi, I'm gonna do something where it's gonna be a way that I'm gonna be able to recognize people that are giving good comments and, like, you know, just being consistently having good input to the discussion or whatever. So let's look at some top comments right now before we get to the controversial comments. So the top comment on Am I the Antagonist is, not the antagonist. What a repulsive, tacky tradition. Very true. A reply to that is, everyone's gonna pile on, what a disgusting and foul tradition, and also, what a silly mindset this woman has. Why the F would you want to force your partner into doing something they find unpleasant on their own wedding day? I feel like that's the bigger problem for me. The tradition is horrendous, but this is even worse. On our wedding day, my wife and I had a fantastic time. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of stuff going on, but one key thing, we continue to be each other's #1 supporters. We were constantly looking out for each other to make sure we were eating, chatting, etc. What's effing point of getting married and having a wedding if your spouse won't enjoy it? And that's a really good point right there, where it's just like this thing where, hey, I want you to do this for me. I understand where the fiance is coming from, where the wife is, where she's like, hey, this is something that's been in my family tradition. Like, I can't break tradition. Like, we need to do this. But it's like, at some point in time, you have to realize getting married is a situation where it's like, hey, you're breaking off from your family and you're making your own family with this other person. So if that's the new tradition of not doing the tradition, then you kind of have to follow suit, because it's like, you have to choose a side, unfortunately. And that's what it kind of seems like. You have to side with the husband or the OP. But let's look at the next reply. So they quoted something in there and they said, it's supposed to be like this for the rest of your life. She can't even manage it for a wedding. Alarm bells, OP, loud ringing alarm bells. And the thing is, I don't really want to pile on the fiance too heavily right now, because it is her wedding too, and she probably does have expectations set forth by her family. But just the idea that there's got to be some sort of middle ground. OP's offering a middle ground, saying, hey, we can have a separate reception event where I do this, but she's just like holding firm to this thing, like, no, this is it. Which also kind of brings me back to the idea where the guy was already deflecting people commenting, saying that, no, this wasn't just an excuse to get out of the wedding. There's nothing else wrong with this or whatever. This could possibly be that, which I'm also kind of getting that feeling from it too, where are they having other underlying issues and he's just trying to put this is the hill that I'm going to die on right now. It's really not about that, but you know what? This is a convenient way for me to break it off. So possibly that, but let's read on. Next top comment, not the antagonist. It's your wedding. You can say no to this. Tell her it's your family tradition that weddings don't have tiresome, outdated joke rituals designed to embarrass people. Heck, I don't even know you and I'm not invited to your wedding, but I'm cringing so hard I'm about to throw my back out. The number of people who think this is amusing is far, far less than those who think it's unfunny shtick from the 1950s. So is this something that used to happen way back in the day? I'm unsure, but maybe it is. Next reply. Gotta admit, it's amusing that she thinks that this is actually an acceptable thing to ask of your fiancé. Makes me wonder what other traditions her family might have. OP, you're thinking of leaving her over this, and if she's really not budging on it, then it sounds like maybe the relationship isn't strong enough for marriage. If a tacky tradition is pulling you apart, there are more difficult situations you would face as a married couple that you probably wouldn't work through either. Not the antagonist. So it seems like everybody's on the same side with the whole situation that, hey, this is bizarre that they want you to do this anyway, so not the antagonist. But I mean, hopefully your comments down below shed some other light. But like I said, the best comments are always in the controversial section, because those are the people that just, even the insanity that exists on Reddit, they can't decide whether or not they can agree on something. So let's get back to some controversial comments, because that's the true gems to me. So this guy says, a little late now perhaps, but just tell your family's tradition is similar, but the bride gets chained to a tiny stove. Okay, not the antagonist, but lighten up. I'd go along with it and get them all back some other way. Could start a practical joking battle. The thing is, though, is I'm guessing this person got downvoted because this is kind of a juvenile way to go back. Like, you fight me, I fight you, let's go back and forth. Like, nobody's winning in this situation. Let's just be adults and say, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm not going to do that, and just try to, like, you know, actually have a conversation. When the bride gets chained to a tiny stove, I could see why this person got downvoted for just that comment alone, but I mean, let's move on to some more controversial. So this person's saying, info, have you thought about a compromise of just taking a picture to send to her family while wearing it rather than wearing it on the day of the wedding? I don't like this tradition as it's intended to humiliate, but being able to compromise is a cornerstone of marriage and relationships, and I think my suggestion is closer to a fair one for the both of you. And you know what though? As silly as this may sound, this could have been a good compromise right now where they say, I'm not going to embarrass myself in front of the whole family, but if we want to record a skit with, like, you know, the mother and father-in-law where I'm wearing the ball and chain and we record it and we just play it on the projector screen at the wedding, that could be a thing where, like, hey, you want us to go through this whole thing? Okay, cool, I'm game. Not in front of my family, and if I can have final cut. Like, I'm the director of this film. I get final cut. We're going to put it up there, but only when I approve of it, so I know that it's not going to get out of hand. I'm not going to get embarrassed too much, and I'm also kind of leaning into the whole family tradition thing, and I'm game. This person got -2 points, but honestly, I kind of like this idea, but let's see what the replies of that comment were. The reply is, LOL, yes, let's compromise on humiliation. It's only okay to be a little humiliated by your partner, just not a lot. And honestly, maybe I'm just kind of a silly guy. If it was like that, yeah, maybe. Like, I recently went to a Korean wedding, and I didn't know this was a thing, but at the end of it, they all take the groom's shoes off, and we're allowed to slap him on the feet with our shoe as long as we give him money. It's like a fundraising thing for the groom and wife or whatever, but bride and groom. But the thing is, though, is it's like, is it humiliated to be in front of all your friends and family and take your shoes off barefoot and have be slapped on the foot or whatever? Yeah, but I mean, it's just part of, I guess I'm contradicting myself or whatever, but it's like, if he's willing to do it, by all means. And if he wasn't willing to do it because he's like, I don't really feel comfortable, maybe it's like, you know, interracial marriage where it's like, you know, a Caucasian person that's getting married to a Korean girl, it'd be maybe the guy would be uncomfortable in front of his very, like, I don't want to say classy family, but someone that's just not used to the whole barefoot being slapped in the foot thing. But would there be a compromise where he's like, okay, I don't really want to have this happen in front of all my family, so maybe it's a pre-recorded one where we just, if he wants to make it super short and just like, okay, cool, this is like, you know, I'm appeasing them in a way, I think that's kind of okay, but maybe I'm super biased, so that would be a good thing. In the comment section, let me know down below if you were from a different culture and you were going to get married to a Korean person. Would you, if you were embarrassed by the whole like barefoot slapping the feet thing, what would be a good compromise to you? And would there just be like a firm no, whatever? And this is good though. This is good that we got to the controversial comments and we saw something was very kind of in the air, which is going to be good content for reading the replies of the decoy coy voice or what of me trying to say that very, very hard sentence to say. So, I mean, hopefully this can kind of start some dialogue. But actually, before we cut to the credits, there's actually one more comment that got -41 points. So let's see. I'm going to go with everyone sucks here. I'm getting married in September. If the world isn't still in crisis, and I would never do something my fiance found embarrassing at the reception, regardless of family tradition. It's outdated to think the wedding is all about the bride, so your feelings should definitely be taken into consideration. That being said, I would hope my fiance would not call off the whole wedding over something that is supposed to be considered a joke. This is the person you want to spend your life with, and if it's easy for you to call off the wedding over this, I would rethink the entire marriage thing on a bigger level. Planning weddings can be stressful, especially with a global, okay, there's going off of the whole thing or whatever. So, I mean, and the reply to that is he's only considering calling off because his fiance is entirely disregarding his feelings, which is true, which is, I feel like I was starting to reply to other people saying like communication issues are the underlying issue behind all the Am I the Antagonist threads. Like if people were better communicators, Am I the Antagonist wouldn't exist entirely or whatever. So, I mean, considering calling off is reasonable for him to say like, hey, am I being a jerk for saying I don't want to get married to this person if I'm going to get shamed at my wedding or whatever? But I don't really understand why this person's getting -41 points on this. So maybe more comments down below on this actual video itself will kind of shed light to it. But I mean, that's my opinion right now. If you have your opinion, make sure you drop it down below. Leave some more comments as to where I should get my next tattoo during my furlough. Check out that video over there, subscribe down below, and also let me know what subscriber number you are because that helps me track the growth, and also I'll start to kind of give back over on the decoynoise.com/coy website.